Greetings everyone. Today we're going to explore slope from an equation. We do have a foldable for this, but it would be easy to jot down in your notebook. Remember that we still want to identify slope with the letter M as per the previous videos. And most of today is a review, so it should go pretty quick. At the top of your notes sheet, you'll notice that we have from an equation. Our goal, and if you would write down these steps, please. Our first goal, step 1, is to isolate y. We want to get y by itself so that all the information's on the other side. Step 2, if you have anything to simplify, make sure you simplify. For example, 5/10. We want to simplify that down to 1/2. Next, we're going to identify the m. Now, here's where you need to take a few more notes. M is the number in front of x. So as you can see here in the notes provided to you, m is listed as the number in front of x. The number in front of x. So make sure that you remember that. That's what we've got to work on. And then the last thing, we're going to work on identifying b. Now, you don't have to worry about what b is yet. We'll talk about that later. Today, though, what you need to know is b is the number by itself. It's the number by itself. So if it says plus 10, then it's plus 10. If it says minus 72, it's minus 72. All right, let's jump into the examples. If you're writing this on your own paper, you only need to write the equation down, and we'll go from there. Step 1 is to isolate y. But if I look, y is already by itself. So let's jump into identifying the parts. M, slope. Slope is the number in front of x. Well, let's see. There's a positive 4 in front of x. So my slope is 4. B. B is the number by itself, including its sign. So the number by itself is -2. Example 2. Step 1, isolate y. Now, if you need more help with isolating y, please see my videos where all we do is isolate y. Okay, this is review. We've already gone over the steps of solving for y. So you can go to my YouTube channel and you can search isolating y for more help. Here's where we get to simplifying. 8 divided by -4 is -2. A negative divided by a negative is a positive. 3/4 does not divide. So if something doesn't divide, leave it a fraction. And if you can reduce, great. If you can't, totally fine. Y is by itself. Here's what's new today. Let's identify the parts. The number in front of x is my slope. It's a positive 3/4. The number by itself is my b. Include the sign. Let's take a look at example 3. We're going to work on isolating y. First, instead of positive 1x, we're going to subtract 1x. 3y falls down. Again, if you need help with this process, see my isolating y videos. Instead of times 3, let's divide by 3. Now what's unique about this one is one of the numbers does divide and the other one does not. So we're going to keep it as 1/3. Let's identify the pieces. The number in front of the x is my slope, my m. The number that's by itself is my b value. That's what's new today. That's what we're working on. This example I chose because it's a little different, right? If I look at that y, it doesn't look typical. So we want to move stuff to the other side. I'm going to start by adding 5 because I can actually add them. A 6 plus 5, nice clean 11. Next, instead of adding 2x, let's kick it over by subtracting 2x. I've got y equals 11 subtract 2x. All right, let's take a look. M is always in front of the x. Include the sign on this one. It's -2. So if you're asked to circle the slope, make sure you include the sign. B is the number by itself, which is a +11. Two more examples. This one's pretty straightforward. It looks like the typical. Instead of subtract 3x, let's add 3x. 3y falls down. Instead of times 3, let's divide everything by 3. A 2 plus a 1x. Alrighty. The number in front of x is my slope, my m. The number by itself is my b. And our last example, I chose one that has some parentheses. Now remember, when there's parentheses, we want to distribute right away. When we distribute, we multiply. Everything else falls down. Next, if I'm isolating y stays. Instead of +2, -2. 2x and +y fall down. 6 minus 2, I can actually subtract those. Lastly, instead of +2x, let's -2x. Now, I can't subtract the x from the 4, so I write it as I read it. 4 minus 2x. Let's identify. The number in front of x is my slope. The number that's by itself is my b. And just to go over some of the years that we've taught this, we've used this one worksheet. So if you have your homework, take a peek. Do you have this problem on there? Otherwise, if you don't, just follow along. I'm going to go through the same steps. I'm going to isolate y first. So I'm going to subtract. Oops. Look it. I automatically went to go do that. So notice where the y is. That's why I like to make it bold. I need to move the x over. We're going to subtract 6x. That looks a little different, doesn't it? Write it as you read it, since I can't actually subtract. Next, we're going to divide each piece by 3. Y falls down. Now 10 doesn't divide by 3. You're going to get some fractions, and that's okay. And then some do divide, like 6 divided by 3. So here's what I'm looking for in these spaces. Y equals 10/3 minus 2x. M is the number in front of the x. B is the number by itself. We're just going to fill in the blanks when they're provided. Alrighty. Again, the review was isolating y, but we have to remember that the m is always in front of the x, and the b is always the number by itself. Now, that's not what B actually stands for. That's just my little saying. It helps me remember. All right. So make sure you check Google Classroom as always. See what you need to work on. Let me know if you have any questions. And consider rewatching this. Sometimes it's hard to take notes and listen. So maybe stop, rewind, and listen one more time. All righty. Talk to you later and have a good one.